Welcome back, boys and girls. Lesson 10, Module 1, Lesson 10. And our objective is we will subtract decimals using place value strategies and relate those strategies to a written method. Okay, so let's get started. Number 1, directions say subtract. And we may use a place value chart if we need one. We are not going to use one for the first couple. We may use one as we move on to maybe C or D here. Let's go ahead and take a look at A. 9/10 minus 3/10. So we know that 9/10 minus 3/10 is going to give us 6/10. Like units, tenths minus tenths, our answer is going to be in tenths in this case. All right, looking at B, we have 9 ones, 2 thousandths minus 3 ones. So if we have 9 ones and we take away 3 ones, we know we're going to have 6 ones. We had 2 thousandths. We didn't take away any thousandths, so we're still going to have 2 thousandths. All right, now looking at C here. C says 4 hundredths, 6 hundredths. So that first number, our menuend, remember we talked about our first number in the subtraction problem being the menuend? This whole part is the menuend. The subtrahend, the part that we're subtracting, is this part here, the 3 minus 3 hundredths. All right, so we have 4 hundredths, 6 hundredths. So let's write that out on our place value chart. 4 in the hundredths place, 6 in the hundredths place. THS on that 6. 4 in the hundreds, 6 in the hundredths. And we're taking away 3 hundredths. So we know that we have 6 hundredths minus 3 hundredths leaves us with 3 hundredths. And we have 0 tenths, 0 ones, 0 tens, and 4 hundredths. So that's how our answer is going to look there. Looking at D. Now we have 56 thousandths. That 6 has to be linked to our thousandths place. So it's going to look like this. 56 thousandths. The 6 is in our thousandths place. That means our 5 is going to be in our hundredths place. Minus 23 thousandths. That 3 has to be linked to our thousandths place. Let's write in our 23 thousandths. When we do that subtraction, we know we have 6 thousandths minus 3 thousandths leaves us with 3 thousandths. 5 hundredths minus 2 hundredths leaves us with 3 hundredths. 0 tenths and 0 ones. So how many thousandths do we have? We have 33 thousandths, which can also be called 3 hundredths, 3 in the hundredths place, and 3 in the thousandths place. All right? For number 2 here, I'm going to put some lines in for my place value chart, just so that we can make sure everything's lined up. I see my menuend and my subtrahend, both numbers in the subtraction. My top number is my menuend, my bottom number is my subtrahend. When I write them out vertically, they both have 2 digits, so I put 2 lines. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4 place value units. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. Here I have 5 place value units represented in my menuend, so I'm going to put my 5 lines. And I'm going to continue to do the same thing throughout. Alright, let's get some numbers on these place value charts. So I have 1 and 8 tenths minus 9 tenths. Let's go ahead and do the subtraction here. Well, I know 8 tenths minus 9 tenths I can't do, so I'm going to have to regroup 1, 1. I had 1, 1. I'm going to rename that as tenths. So now I have 0 ones left. I want to take that 1, 1 and rename it as 10 tenths. So now I have 18 tenths minus 9 tenths. And the difference between 18 tenths and 9 tenths is 9 tenths. So I know my answer is 9 tenths. Alright, let's take a look at B here. So we have 41 and 84 hundredths. That 40 in the hundredths place, so I say 84 hundredths. Then I have 0 ones and 9 tenths. Now, obviously we can see here I need a placeholder. I need my 0 for my placeholder, so I'm going to put that in. Now if you notice, my 9 tenths turned into 90 hundredths. It's the same thing. It's just a difference of having 9 dimes if we're talking about money, or 90 pennies. It's still the same amount. Let's go ahead and do some subtraction. 4 hundredths minus 0 hundredths is 4 hundredths. 8 tenths, once again, we got our 8 tenths minus this 9 tenths, we can't do. So 8 tenths minus 9 tenths, I can't do. I need to rename this one whole. Now I have 0 wholes left, because I want to take that 1 and make it into 10 tenths. 1 is equal to 10 tenths. Please remember we talked about this. Whenever you have a place value unit to the left, it's always going to be 10 times greater than the adjacent place value unit to the right. So my ones place is 10 times greater than my tenths place. Therefore, 1 is equal to 10 tenths. So I crossed this one out. I renamed it. Now I have 0 ones. I took that 1 and changed it into 10 tenths. I put the 10 next to the 8 because we already had 8 tenths. So now 8 tenths plus 10 tenths gives me 18 tenths here. So now I say 18 tenths minus 9 tenths. Once again, that's going to be 9 tenths. The decimal goes here. 0 ones minus 0 ones is 0 ones. 4 tens minus 0 tens is 4 tens. So my answer is 40 and 94 hundredths. I have 3 hundredths, 4 tens, 1, 8 tenths, and 4 hundredths. I'm going to write in my that's my menu. Right in my subtrahend, the number that's going to go on the bottom. We have 21 and 92 hundredths. Do the subtraction here. 4 hundredths minus 2 hundredths. 4 minus 2, same. They have like units, so I say 4 minus 2. 4 minus 2 is going to be 2. Now I have 8 tens minus 9 tens. Again, I know I can't do that. I need to rename my 1. So I'm going to take that 1. Now I have 0 ones. That 1 is going to be renamed as 10 tenths. Right? So now we have 18 tenths minus 9 tenths. Gives me 9 tenths. Now I have, in my ones place, 0 ones minus 1. If I have no ones, I can't take away any ones. So I'm going to have to rename one of my tens. So now instead of 4 tens, I'm left with 3 tens. The 1 10 that I'm taking, I'm going to rename it as 10 ones. So look, I had 0 ones. I'm going to take my 10 ones. Now, when I put that 1 next to it, that's the 1 in the tens place. So now I have 10 ones. 10 ones minus 1 is equal to 9 ones. Now we're going to finish up 3 tens minus 2 tens. It's 1 10. 3 hundredths minus 0 hundred, 3 hundredths. So my answer is 319 and 92 hundredths. All right, we have 5 and 182 thousandths minus 9 hundredths. So now 9 hundredths is equal to, once again, we had 9 tenths was equal to 90 hundredths. So now 9 hundredths is equal to 90 thousandths. THS. We're doing our subtraction. 2 thousandths minus 0 thousandths, 2. 8 hundredths minus 9 hundredths we can't do. So we know we need to rename or regroup. We cross that out. Now I have 0 tenths. My 1 tenth is now going to become 10 hundredths. 1 tenth equal to 10 hundredths. Alright, so now we have 18 hundredths minus 9 hundredths is 9 hundredths. Then we have 0 tenths minus 0 tenths is 0 tenths. And 5 ones minus 0 ones is 5 ones. We have 5 and 92 thousandths. Alright, let's keep going here. Now we have 50 and 416 thousandths minus 4 and 25 hundredths. Same thing, I need a placeholder. So my 4 and 25 hundredths is going to turn into 4 and 250 thousandths when I annex my 0. Do my subtraction. 6 thousandths minus 0 thousandths is 6 thousandths. Now I have 100 minus 500. Can't do that. So we need to regroup or rename. I'm going to rename one of my tenths. So instead of having 4 tenths, I renamed one, so I only have 3 tenths now. The 1 tenth that I renamed, I'm going to rename that 1 tenth as 10 hundredths. So instead of having 100th, I'm going to add 10 to it. Now I have 11 hundredths. Because my 10 plus my 1 is 11. 11 hundredths minus 5 hundredths, and that's going to give me 6 hundredths. Now I have 3 tenths minus 2 tenths. That's going to give me 1 tenth. Then I have 0 ones minus 4 ones. Can't do that, so I need to rename one of my tens, which is going to leave me with 4 tens. The 1 10 that I'm going to rename, I'm going to rename it as 10 ones. Right? So now I have 10 ones minus 4 ones. And I know that that's going to be 6 ones. Then I have 4 tens minus 0 tens is 4 tens. So I have 46 and 166 thousandths. Alright, last but not least, same thing here. I have 0 hundredths minus 100. I can't do. So I say, well, let's regroup a 10. I don't have any tenths here. So we have no tenths. So now I need to go to my next place value unit and say, well, let's regroup a 1. I'm going to take my 1 1. Now I have 0 ones remaining. My 1 1 I'm going to regroup as 10 tenths. 1 1 is equal to 10 tenths. So now I have 10 tenths. But I still need to get hundredths. So I'm going to take one of my tenths, leaving me with 9 tenths. Now I'm going to take that 1 tenth and rename it as 10 hundredths. So now I have 10 hundredths. I had 0 hundredths, and I added 10. So now I have 10 hundredths minus 1 is 9 hundredths. 9 tenths minus 9 tenths is 0 tenths. And let's take a look here. 0 ones minus 3 ones. A lot of people are putting a 3 down here saying 0 minus 3. Oh, I can't do it, so I'm going to just say 3 minus 0. You can't do that. That's going to give you the wrong answer. So you have to respect your menuing and your subtrahend. It's always your menuing minus your subtrahend, or your subtrahend is being taken away from your menuing. So now we're going to say 4 tens. I'm going to rename one of my tens, leaving me with 3 tens. My 10 that I'm going to rename 1 10 as 10 ones. So I'm going to put a 10 right here. It says I have 10 in my ones place, and I'm going to take 3 of those 10s away, leaving me with 7 10s remaining. Next we have 3 10s minus 0 10s. Going to give us 3 10s. Then I have 7 hundredths minus 0 hundredths, give me 700. My answer is 737 and 9 hundredths. Alright, so we have 30 tens. So 30 tens, 30 in the tens place. That 0 has to be in the tens place. So if this 0 is in the tens place, then I know that I would have a 0 here in my ones place. So that 30, that 0, last digit has to be in whatever place it says. Now we're saying minus 3 tens and 3 tenths. So now I need 3 tens, 3 in the tens place, and 3 in the tenths place. So if it looks like that, I know I need to regroup across a bunch of zeros here. So let's see. I have 0 minus 3 in my tenths place. So 0 tenths minus 3 tenths. I can't do that. So I need to rename from the next place value unit. There's nothing there. So we're going to go over again. Those no ones, we have no tens either. So we're going to go all the way over to our hundreds. So I'm going to say my hundreds. Watch this. We had $300 bills, right? That's 300. 300 is the same as 210 tens. If you had $200 bills, and you had 10 tens, I'm just going to rewrite this as a 10 up top just because I'm having trouble fitting that in. If you had $200 bills and 10 tens, 10 tens is equal to 100, so that would still be $300. Now watch this. I'm going to take one of my tens. Now I'm going to have 9 tens. I'm going to take that 110 and rename it as 10 ones. So now I have $200 bills, 9 $10 bills, and 10 $1 bills. That's still $300. All right, so it's equivalent to 300. Even if I was to do this, which we have to do, I'm going to rename it again. So now I'm going to take one of my ones, leaving me with 9 ones. I'm going to rename that 1 as 10 tenths. So now I have 10 tenths here. Let's draw in my place value units. All right, so we can see now we have 10 tenths minus 3 tenths. So 10 minus 3 is going to give us 7. Now we have 9 ones minus 0 ones. Don't forget your decimal. 9 ones minus 0 ones is 9. And we have 9 tens minus 3 tens is 6. And we have 2 hundreds minus 0 hundreds is 2. So there's our answer. Next, we have 5 minus 16, and then 6 has to be in the tenths place. So 16 tenths is equal to 1 and 6 tenths. Same thing, I have 0 tenths minus 6 tenths. I can't do it, so I'm going to have to rename one of my ones, which leaves me with 4 ones remaining. This is now going to be 10 tenths. So I took one of my ones and I got 10 tenths. If we were talking about money, if you have 5 ones, that's the same amount as having 4 ones and 10 dimes. 10 dimes equals 1 whole. 10 tenths equals 1 whole. We said that 1 whole, 1 is equal to 10 tenths. Same thing. Think of money. It's a lot easier when you think of it as money in most cases. Now I have 10 tenths minus 6 tenths is 4 tenths. Bring my decimal down. 4 ones minus 1 is 3 ones. Alright, we have 24 tenths. 4 has to be in the tenths place. 2.4 minus 1 and 3 tenths. We have 4 tenths minus 1 tenth equals 1 tenth. And 2 ones minus 1 is 1 1. Alright, let's keep going. D, we have 6 ones and 7 hundredths. Don't be misled here. The 7 has to be in the hundredths place. And then we have minus 2 and 3 tenths. So we have hundredths minus tenths. I'm going to change this into hundredths by simply adding my 0. Now I have 7 hundredths minus 0 hundredths is 7. 0 tenths minus 3 tenths I can't do, so I need to rename one of my ones. So now I'm going to have 5 ones. The 1 that I took away from this to rename, I'm going to rename it as 10 tenths. So now I have 10 tenths minus 3 tenths. 10 minus 3 is 7. Don't forget my decimal. Then I have 5 ones minus 2 ones is 3 ones. Alright, last 2 here. Alright, I'm going to turn that 500s into 50 thousandths by just adding my 0, annexing my 0. And then we have 6 thousandths minus 0 thousandths, 6 thousandths. Now I have 4 hundredths minus 5 hundredths. I can't do, so I have to go to my adjacent place value unit, which is my tenths. I'm going to take one of my tenths, leaving me with 1 tenth remaining. That's the one that I have remaining. My other tenth, I'm going to rename as 10 hundredths. So 1 tenth is equal to 10 hundredths. Alright, so now I have 14 hundredths. Some people are used to seeing me do this, cross it out and put the 14 up top. Either way, remember, it was the 1 tenth became 10 hundredths, and then I already had 4 hundredths. That's how I got the 14. So now I'm saying 14 hundredths minus 5 is going to be 9 hundredths. So now I have 1 tenth minus 0 tenth is 1 tenth, and 8 ones minus 0 ones is 8 ones. Alright, we have 5 ones. F is 5 ones and 3 tenths minus 53 hundredths. I'm going to annex my 0 in my menu, and now I say, well, 0 hundredths minus 3 hundredths we can't do. Let's go ahead and rename one of our tenths. Now I have 2 tenths left. I regrouped 1/10 as 10 hundredths. I didn't have any hundreds, so it's just going to be my 10 hundredths that I have now, because we had a 0 there. So now I have 10 hundredths minus 3 hundredths is 7 hundredths. 2 tenths minus 5 tenths we can't do. We have to rename one of our holes, leaving us with 4 holes. That one hole we're going to rename as 10 tenths, giving us 12 tenths. Now I have 12 tenths minus 5 tenths. That's going to be 7 tenths. And last but not least, my 4 ones minus 0 ones is 4 ones. Alright, boys and girls, hopefully this helped. Remember to write that information down. 1/10 is equal to 10 hundredths, and 1 is equal to 10 tenths. Also, we can keep going and say 1/10 is equal to 10 ones. And we can even go as far as saying that 100th is equal to 10 thousandths. Alright, boys and girls, hope this helps. Please make sure you are practicing the right way and asking questions. If you have any questions, ask me in our Google Classroom or face-to-face when I see you. As always, happy learning, boys and girls.